Welcome to the Third Party Transformers News for Retro Robot Radio for the date of November 22nd, 2014. This week we're going to be doing something a little different. I recorded my show simultaneously with the Transmission podcast, so I ended up hosting the show alongside Charles and Jeremy from that show. Let's have a listen.
All right, so we've got some third-party news, and since Matt's show, Retro Robot Radio, focuses on third-party Transformer news, we're going to do a simulcast. So This section of the Transmissions show will also be a part of the Retro Robot Radio show for this week.
Well, Charles, Jeremy, welcome to my show.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. So,
Charles, yes, would you like to start off with some of the news, Charles?
Sure. Thank you. So I just got a message about this. So our friend of the show, Christian Brock, who is better known as Wulong T and has a Shapeways store, Wulong Toys. He does some third-party Transformers figures. And he is partnering with Shapeways to do an online toy design course. And this course is taking place in January. This will be, let's see, what are I forget the exact date, but it'll be early January, and he's taking about 10 people for this course. And it's not that expensive. There are multiple tiers for the actual online course where you get to interact with him and do the live course. That's a $50 charge. But you can also, if you don't have time or you can't join the live course, you can pay a lower price, about $40 or $30, and get access to all the course materials, and and still get the videos. The only thing with the $30 course though is that you don't get the actual design files at the end of the course for the figure that they build during the course. So that's if you just want to follow along with the videos but you don't want to get the design materials, you can do that. If you want to follow along the course but you don't want to do the live show, you can do the $40 course and still get the materials at the end. And then the $50 course, you get a live interaction with Christian, and you get all the materials, and he also will help you with your figure. So it looks pretty interesting. And Christian has been very nice to actually offer a scholarship to a Transmissions listener. So,
ooh, I want to know.
I've been known to listen. No, mostly I just talk.
I listen when I edit.
Okay, past guest hosts and regular hosts of the Transmissions podcast are ineligible to get this scholarship.
Now, I wonder if that's limited to 10 students just for the live class, and then as many as you think he could do as many as he wants of the video course.
Yeah, I think that's probably how it'll go. We'll have a link to his blog in the show notes, and you can actually send him questions and ask about the details of the course. And he has a link to filling out a Google form to sign up for the course. So we'll have a link to all that. And if you want to get the scholarship that's being offered through the Transmissions podcast, we'll have a link to that in the Transmissions show notes. So if you go to our website, www.transmissionspodcast.com, we'll have a link for you to fill out an entry form, and then we'll just pick a lucky random winner. We'll do a random drawing of all the entries, and whoever gets picked will get that scholarship.
We'll probably be tweeting out the link and everything like crazy, too.
Yes, so you should probably, if you are following our social media, Facebook or Twitter, you should probably have already gotten some information about this and links to that as well. But if you're just hearing about it now, you still have time to enter, so you can click the link through our website as well. And I think we'll wrap up entries about the end of the first week of December, so around I guess December 7th, December 8th, we'll close everything off, and then we'll pick the winner. So
when the winner ends up taking the course and designing a little 3D figure to print, I'd really like to see what they come up with. You could have at least a picture of it on your show notes or something. Show us what they came up with. It looks like you're making a figure that has a basic design, but you get to make the details on it however you want.
Yeah.
Right, definitely. Yeah, so whoever wins the contest, please show us what you build in this class, and we will definitely promote it on our show and show everyone else and put it on our social media and everything.
Looks like you're making a 2-inch tall figure with 10 points of articulation. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like the $40 and $50 tiers both get a copy of the completed figure.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, and also the $40 tier, you can get feedback from Christian as well on the $40 tier as well, I think. Yeah. So both the $50 and $40 tiers, you can get some interaction with Christian. He can, give you some pointers on toy design. And then the $50 tier is, of course, for the live class. So looks good.
Yeah, that's very cool. Thanks, Christian.
Yeah. Next up, we got some new pictures from Mastermind Creations on their new figure, Cynicus, which is a third-party version of Voss from the DJD, the Decepticon Justice Division, that is featured in the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye comic book.
So this is an IDW character?
Yes, this is an IDW character. He is one of the 5 members of the Decepticon Justice Division, who are basically Decepticon fanatics and badasses who go around hunting down any Decepticons who have become traitors to the Decepticon cause. So and Voss in particular is a nasty guy because he has a faceplate that he can detach from his face, and it pops out a bunch of spikes, and he shoves that in other people's faces.
Okay. So he's backward. He's the Shattered Glass movie Optimus Prime. Take my face.
Right.
Yes.
I'll give you my face.
Yes, and in one issue of the comics, he attacks another Decepticon and says, "Wear my face," and he shoves the spikes into another Decepticon's face.
And he turns into a sniper rifle?
Yes, and there is a scene. There's a flashback scene in one of the comics that shows Megatron wielding him in his sniper rifle mode. So
this is one that Mastermind Creations teased a long time ago, but they teased it with a Megatron head in deco as a joke, saying this was their.
Yes,
right.
That was
the April Fool's joke.
Yeah, April Fool's.
So we've kind of seen it before as it disguised.
Yes. And now it is, and it looks like they do have the little detachable face on the figure. So it looks like, and it has little. I can't really tell if it has little spikes on it, but and I guess it doesn't have any paint applications or anything at this point. It's more just two-tone colored plastic.
Okay, so it's probably a colored test shot.
That face is going to be lost so many times.
Yeah, if you give it to kids. Give them your exhaust figure instead.
Also give him a pack of cigarettes. This guy looks pretty impressive. I'm wondering how sturdy he's going to be because he looks really skinny. I mean, thankfully he does have really big feet, but I don't know. With a figure that skinny and it looks like he has a lot on his back. You might have to position him just so he doesn't tip over.
He has huge feet, though. And the ball joints are the same size they would be for a thicker figure, so I think he'd probably be, as long as they made the tolerance of the ball joints, he'll be fine.
Mm.
The feet are by proportion, a foot and a half long.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they say about bots with big feet.
Big shoes.
Right.
Big gun modes.
Yeah.
Does it have ankle tilts?
All
That's the
right,
question.
I mean, he looks like he can get into a lot of poses, so it probably does have some.
Oh, yeah. Do they actually have a picture of him wielding himself?
Yes.
Yes. You are. Image 13, yes. Of 14.
So that proves that at least 2 of the figures exist.
Yes. I don't think they didn't give us any information about when it's coming out.
Well, it's actually being held by Feral Rex's arm in one picture, so technically it's the, what does that be, the 7th member of the Feral Rex Combiner? Just going to keep adding to that combiner instead of making new combiners. Just gonna, all right, here's the 8th member, here's the 9th member. Now he's a centaur, now he's a...
Well, speaking of Feral Rex, we do have another upgrade for that Feral Rex figure. So looks like Crazydevy, another. So it's kind of a third-party upgrade for another third-party figure.
Yeah.
And it gives shiny wings to the Feral Rex Predaking. So if you look at the original Predaking, or Feral Rex, I should say, but it's Predaking, his wings are, I guess, not quite as shiny as you might remember from the G1 Predaking. And the Crazydevy upgrade kit, I guess, gives you much shinier wings.
Now, Crazydevy already did upgrade wings for the G1 Predaking toy. So this is just them doing that kind of thing for the Feral Rex. That's kind of neat. And you know what? I noticed that the price is a lot more reasonable than some other Crazydevy items. Was it about $38? So they can be really expensive.
Yeah.
They were one of the early companies, and they were not cheap.
Okay. What other stuff were they doing that was... Are they just doing upgrades, or are they doing their own
almost
figures?
always did upgrades for combiners, but it was usually G1 combiners. Just looking at the BBTS entry here, they have LED parts for the Fans Project Colossus. They have a waist and shield for the Fans Project. This is for the G1 Menasor.
Mm-hmm.
They have a giant. So they have big swords, big guns, leg extenders for all the G1 combiners, that sort of thing. That's let's see. Power parts, face mask and shoulders for Omega Supreme. And bendable knees for G1 Devastator. Giant cannons for G1 Piranacon. And most of the stuff in here is on clearance, but for instance, the custom waist and thighs for G1 Predaking came at $58.
Ooh, okay.
So they were not cheap. They have a head for G1 Superion that allows him to move his neck. That's, just little things like that.
Right. Well, if you're already into Feral Rex and the wings aren't shiny enough for you, here's a little upgrade that can help you with that. So another extra $40.
Okay, now Feral Rex is a 7-member combiner with add-on wings as well. It's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yep. That's right. All right, so I think that's everything that I have. So Matt, you can continue on with the rest of the third-party news.
Well, looking at the third-party news, the first one on the list here is the Perfect Effect Leonidas, I guess it's called, which is their version of Lio Convoy. We have some prototype images of it in both robot and the alternate mode, which is a robotic line. And the Lyle Convoy is the main hero from the Beast Wars 2nd Japanese series, and I think he's appeared in IDW comics and things like that as well.
Yeah, and so in the Beast Wars, they had a couple of Beast Wars miniseries back in the, I guess, like first couple of years they had the license, 2006, 2007.
Now in Beast Wars 2nd, he was a organic lion, but I think in the IDW he was kind of like a Zoids-looking robotic lion, and this looks a lot like that. So this is possibly technically another one of the IDW toys turned third-party that we occasionally see, like, Mastermind Creations, Azalea.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of digging deep, though, because they haven't actually done a Beast Wars miniseries in a while. Like, it's been at least 5 years.
We had teasers for this, an outline for it, like, I think a year and a half, 2 years ago. So they've been working on this for a while. Yeah. And there's a picture of him next to MP10 Optimus Prime. It's just a head shorter. So what is Optimus Prime is 24 centimeters tall. This is maybe 22 at the head, so. And then the big lion shield on his shoulder takes him about up to the 24 centimeter size.
Yeah, he definitely looks cool. Both the lion and the robot mode look cool to me.
Yeah, it's a really nice looking figure.
Still probably out of my price range.
I'm sure it's out of mine.
I like how they got the nods to the fact that he's supposed to kind of resemble Optimus Prime as well. I mean, obviously the head, but also kind of in the chest. You can see molding that would kind of resemble the windows, but obviously on Lio Convoy it's not going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Beast Wars 2nd series, I think they said that basically the leaders of all the Maximals were the different convoys whose body type was kind of styled after Optimus Prime or Convoy in Japan. So they had and Lio Convoy was the lion that turned into the convoy robot.
Now, does this figure not able to stand on its own? It looks like it's got this big stand behind it that it's.
That's probably because it's a prototype.
I think that's a good reasoning. So, yeah. They put the MP10 on the same stand just to.
Yeah, but MP10 is obviously not supported. It's probably one of those resin prototypes. It's just very fragile.
All right, so the next story we have is also from Perfect Effect, the PEDX04 Guardian, also known as Brave Maximus. Looks like they've discontinued the regular production version of that toy. The story behind this, they had released a pre-launch special version with a special cover on the box that was limited to 800 pieces. And that sold, but it looks like they're not going to go into regular production. So those 800 pieces are the only ones that exist in the pre-launch special cover artwork boxes. So if you got this, that's the only way you're going to get it. And if you haven't got it, you got to look for it before it shoots up in price.
If you've got it, put it on eBay. Make a little money.
This is Brave Maximus, who was the Fortress Maximus in Robots in Disguise. But it's the in colors, but it's the body design of Fortress Maximus from the IDW comic books. And he turns from robot to like kind of a makeshift tank thingy they made up to the head of the Brave Maximus toy.
Yes, the G1. Or not G1, but 2 feet tall, Fortress Maximus.
Robots in Disguise and Car Robots.
Yes.
And I see they have him with one of the swords in these photographs that I don't think he comes with. Is that a Perfect Effect sword? Big blue one? I think that's one of the Perfect Effect Master Swords.
Oh.
It says on the bottom picture, PE's DX04 not include the PW02 Master Sword.
Well, then I'm not going to try to get it anymore.
They'll sell you that separately for $80. As I recall, that was one of their first items. It was horribly overpriced. And it ended up getting knocked off by a company called MGS, who sold it for like $25.
I still just can't believe how big the original Fort Max Brave Maximus has to be for this guy to be his head.
And this figure's a bit bigger than some
I never
of
had
too.
that.
It just folds down to the size, but the actual figures, it's pretty big to fit on that body.
So it gives Fort Max or Brave Max an egghead,
I think
or
the head goes farther back. That's how they hide the more mass.
Oh, okay.
Although I don't have it. Oddly enough, I don't own a Brave Maximus.
Neither
Although
do I.
I am waiting for Grant from Toy World.
Oh, he's a little smaller.
I think he scales really well with the the DX9 Amor set. That's the God Jinri. They're both from Master Force TV series.
Uh-huh.
Jinrai.
Oh.
Jeremy's getting all his corrections. He's taking up for Daryl. He's getting Daryl's revenge.
If you want to use the Japanese pronunciation, I should say Turasufomar or something like that. That's how they usually sing it in the songs.
You had to go back and pull out the Japanese.
I don't know how you can add that many syllables to a word. All right, so anyway, if you want to get that Brave Maximus, run. Now, the next story is the announcements from Play With This Too, which is the startup company that was started by Rick Alvarez. He has been releasing some artwork for some of the the Kickstarter exclusive versions of their figures. Initially, he released artwork of some of the just the regular retail versions, but these are the special color versions that are only going to be available if you purchase them during the crowdfunding, which will happen in February. So one of them is a character called Bite Mark with a tech drone called DK, and it's basically the body of their Desolator figure, which is their version of Skullgrin, with the head of their Bloodbath figure, which is Bombburst, and colored in a red and black and purple deco, making it look kind of like a demon.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Appropriately scary.
Yes. So I think they're one of the cool things about Play With This too. They're coming out with all these toys, a lot of them that kind of look like Transformers characters, but they have Simon Furman, Trent Troop, and a bunch of other people who write the fiction giving them original character bios, and so they're not the characters from the Transformers at all. That's one of the ways they also, make them be more original as far as intellectual property. I mean, they have nothing to do with the Transformers Pretenders as far as characters go. And you swap the parts around, change the decos, and you can make original toys out of them.
Now, are these actually going to have that Pretender kind of play, like where you can put the little robot in the bigger suit?
Well, the way these work is, I've been listening to some interviews with Rick over the. In fact, I was one of the guys who interviewed him in one of my shows, and they originally were planning on making highly articulated 6-inch action figures. And they even said this, these are basically inspired by a lot of old toy lines, including the Pretenders, which is going to be the thrust for their crowdfunding. But there'll be other things in there too, original characters and things from other series. And they were going to make these 6-inch tall figures that were going to come with 5mm port accessories that could combine and turn to different things like B-Mogs do. But I think it was Mark Wong, who was one of the guys who works for them, who said, hey, look, if you take all these little rifles and stuff and peg them together with 5mm pegs, you can pretty much make a little robot, which looks a lot like the little robots that were with Pretenders.
Right.
So they decided, okay, well, let's just add a face sculpt and fists and do whatever extra add-on bits we need to make them all have cool, full robot modes. So they still break apart into accessories for the big figure. Like you can see with Decay here, the arms are the rifles that Bite Mark can hold, and then the body turns into a jetpack that goes on his back.
Okay.
There's no hollow inside of that figure. It's only a 6-inch tall figure. Like a Masters of the Universe Classics kind of thing is the closest thing I've found as a equivalent.
It's interesting because they have so many like former Hasbro guys.
Yes, they do.
Working on this.
Well, Rick Alvarez is the guy who started it, and he basically went and hired all the guys that he used to work with. They all got let go from Hasbro about 2 years ago, roughly.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I'm wondering, since he got Simon Furman to come on board. So does this mean Simon Furman is kind of done with official Transformers fiction?
No, because he's just writing fiction under contract for anyone like he could for anyone else. He's not exclusive to IDW or anything like that. So he's just hiring himself out to write the biographies for these original characters that are being made by a company.
Yeah. It just happens to have one that looks a lot like Grimlock.
Right. But the funny thing is that it's nowhere like Grimlock's character. And since Simon's writing the character, he's not writing Grimlock.
Oh, that's true. I just hope there's no like bad feelings on Hasbro's end. Like, you know, if they see Simon Furman or any of these guys working on this project, maybe they blacklist them, for want of a better term, or something.
At BotCons, I think some of the Hasbro people were asked what things they plan on doing homages to, and they even specifically said they never plan on doing Pretenders. And in interviews, Rick has said he knows exactly, how far and what he can do legally and what he can't. And so trust him when he knows, he can make a figure that looks like that kind of looks like this, and what he can't do. So I'm sure he can't tell us the exact specifics, but if we believe him,
right?
Well, I would think someone who's worked there and knows exactly where that line is.
And he even said in the interview that was on the Cybercast recently that part of his job at Hasbro was to document the third-party toys for them. So they were aware of it, of all the different toys that come out, and very rarely did they actually do anything about them, and it was usually when it was either a knockoff or something that looked exactly like a figure. That's the only time they'd ever do anything. Okay. So these are all original molds, and they don't look exactly like the figures, and they're all original characters. I think they're fine. Especially this Bite Mark guy.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look like anybody.
Now the next picture we got for these are the exclusives. We got Headshots Volume 1, which has Terrible, Skullfucker, and Madwing. These are all. You notice that the Skullfucker head is colored exactly like Bite Mark. So that's kind of the thing they were saying is, you could, rather than make two different toys, basically if you want to make a body for this guy, just buy the Bite Mark toy and then put this head on it. There you go.
Mm-hmm. I like when we first looked at these, I was stumbling over how to pronounce. I think I called it Skullfucker or something, but I guess Skullfucker is a good. I'm just guessing good pronunciation.
It's a homage to Meet the Fockers.
Yes.
I don't know what else you'd think it would be.
That's obviously what it is.
Right. There's no other vowel that could go in between the F and the C there.
And then we have the Headshots volume, which has Blackjack, Moon Unit, and Xandu. Which these are also, again, these are exclusive decos for the crowdfunding. Which means if you want them in these colors, you have to get them at the crowdfunding. The exact same molds will be released in different colors at retail. But, for instance, the Moon Unit looks good with their Flare Strike and their Gold Miner body.
Right.
Now, did any of these heads remind you guys of anything? Because I've heard different people on different shows go, oh, well, they're obviously copying this and that. And different shows come up with different things that they're obviously copying, so...
No.
Yeah. They don't ring a bell for me at all.
Blackjack looks like a Star Ears figure. Some say that, was it Moon Unit looks like Space Mickey Mouse. Other guys were saying they're aliens from the G.I. Joe series from the 90s.
Xando kind of looks like one of the aliens you'd see at Mos Eisley
Okay.
Cantina.
I've heard people say that it looks like the Teller from Doctor Who, one of the recent episodes. I've heard other people say it looks like the Xandozan bounty hunter from The Last Starfighter.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. I'd have to go take another look at
It's
that.
been a couple of years.
So, yeah, it's funny that different people see different things in them, and they're all just original, cool heads.
Yeah. The Gold Miner body, the Pretender he's based off is one of the couple of Pretenders I had, and that really looks impressive.
Yes, it does. Now, I know that basically it looks like all the molds that are going to be coming out are all going to have their retail versions and their Kickstarter exclusive versions. So, like, Gold Miner will be the one at retail, and there'll be probably another deco of that exclusive to the Kickstarter as a different character.
It's very cool.
And then just announced earlier today was the Headshots Volume 3, which I don't even think that's in the show notes, but I'll mention it real quick, that it had Talix, Gentleman Fantastico MD, and Maku, which are, it was actually the logo for the company done as a head. That little play with this tube alien head. And Gentleman Fantastico MD was a what do they call it? A unicorn head. And then Maku was one of the Easter Island heads.
Oh, wow.
And I noticed that the coloration on the, for instance, the Gentleman Fantastico is exactly the shade of blue that the He-Man Faker figure is. So I'm wondering if that's like a hint as to where you should put, what body you should put it on.
Do you have a link you can put in the Skype chat
Sure.
so we can see these?
Okay, I found the picture.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that Gentleman Fantastico. It's like that Ren and Stimpy horse, I think.
That's what a lot of people are saying. Also, that Talix is actually Major, I think it's Major Mark Masterson or something, the space explorer that was one of the aliens from that series, called Scorpio.
Okay.
That's an obscure one. Major Matt Mason. That's it. Major Matt Mason. I'm sending you a link to a picture of the Scorpio figure.
Oh, yeah, that does look very similar.
I'm like, hey, I know that figure. Made by Mattel. Now, they said that the Gentleman Fantastico MD head, they actually just has smooth, kind of a indented smooth area for each of the eyes, so they can paint the eyes in different positions, doing different facial expressions for the different releases.
Oh, okay.
And then for Maku, you'll get it in different stone finishes, or with, we might have moss growing on it, or cracks, or anything like different things. And then Talix, the retail version, I think it's going to be green. Also, I was looking online. I can't prove this, but I noticed that the guy who ran Play With This Collectibles, which is the toy store that Rick used to work with, his name is Scott Tallis. So I'm going to think, there might be some kind of connection.
Maybe there's a connection, yeah.
That's just a kind of online investigation I do. So I think that rounds up the third-party news. You guys have anything more to say about these guys?
No, they look pretty cool, and so we know you got the chance to interview Rick Alvarez a couple weeks ago, and we'll put a link to that in our show notes as well, so people can check that out, and maybe we'll also hunt down a link to the Cybercast.
The Cybercast.
That he was just on.
Let me mention real quick that during the Cybercast, he was talking. We didn't get to see any photos, but he was talking with the host Josh on there about several figures that are going to be coming out. One of them, he called it Iron Strike, and basically the description he gave sounded a whole lot like Metal Hawk.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Another one he mentioned was called the Mighty Musculi Son of Testosteros.
Okay.
Which was a character who's trying to be a hero. He's like a wrestler type, talks like Hulk Hogan. But he described him as a muscular man wearing a helmet with a mustache and a red sash. Stranglehold, right. As a wannabe hero wrestler. Yes. Remember, new character.
Right. All right, so I'm waiting for Bludgeon and Thunderwing.
I think he said that a Thunderwingy kind of character would not be in the Kickstarter. He's mentioned a few things. He said, well, that's not going to be in the Kickstarter or anything like that. For instance, he mentioned Pretender Beasts kind of things. Anything Beast-inspired would not be in the Kickstarter, but it might come down the line.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And I think there was one other one. What was it? Okay, here it is. Jetwash Muscules. Trigor. He mentioned Trigor as the name of another figure. And he described it as a beast that likes to battle. So take whatever hint you can from that. And with a name like Trigor...
I wonder if it has power of wood.
Yeah, it could be, power of flame or flood or... I don't know. It'd be nice if he could work in some kind of a heat-sensitive sticker, or you could get one to put on his chest. He said it would have an animal head, and it's a beast that likes to battle. So, 6-inch fully articulated battle beasts.
Well, they're definitely scratching an itch that I guess, if anyone out there has a fond remembrance for the Pretenders. I know, actually, Alex Milne, the artist on the More Than Meets the Eye comic, he has a fondness for Pretenders because he asked to come back on our show when we get up to issue number 40 of the Marvel Classic comic where they introduce the Pretenders.
Oh, okay.
So
the IDW comics, when they have the Pretenders appear, they look a little different than the G1 toys. They have like robotic heads inside of their helmets.
Right. Yeah, they did away with the organic covering.
And
in the IDW
I don't know if you saw a lot of the promo art for the Play With This 2 figures. The 6-inch figures will include two different heads. One's human and one's robotic. So you can actually make the IDW Pretenders out of them.
Neat. All right. Well, definitely this is something we're gonna keep our eyes on. This Play With This 2 company and all the interesting things they're coming out with, and hopefully we will be able to have Rick Alvarez on the Transmissions podcast next week after this podcast comes
now,
up.
Now, Rick said that they're going to start a new project or a new promotional thing called Play With This Tuesday. That is going to start an announcement of some new figure or product, whatever, every Tuesday from now on. So that's tomorrow as we're.
Oh, that's why they named
yes,
it.
that's how they're.
Sorry,
It's tomorrow by the day we're recording, and therefore before you would have Rick on, there'll be another reveal.
Okay,
So maybe you can talk to him about the reveal.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, depending on the time, because we put our show out on Tuesdays, so maybe, since we record the show a week early, maybe we can get an exclusive and get him to talk about something before it comes out. We'll see. I don't want to promise too much here.
I don't think it'd be a problem to ask.
Right.
All they can do is hang up on us.
You want what? I'm out of here.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt, for all that news.
Yeah, I'm sorry it doesn't measure up to your canceled Masterpiece figure and 2 super deformed toys from the official news. But, we try to do what we can with
It's okay. We'll just blame Daryl because he's not here.
And thanks also for having us on your show on Retro Robot Radio. So if you're listening to that, allow me to shamelessly plug the Transmissions podcast. So hop on over to that.
Just imagine that you were introduced right after some cool techno music that lasted for a little bit too long, and people got bored with it. That's how my show starts.
Okay.
Since last week's episode, I posted 2 fun audiobooks you might want to listen to. One is G.I. Joe, The Cobra's Revenge from 1985, and the other one is Transformers Sun Raid from 1985. Both were made by Listen and Fun, and actually kind of take place in sort of the same universe with the same group of voice actors. This week's screen capture is of Jim Nabors and Ruth Buzzy in the 1975 sci-fi comedy series The Lost Saucer. This week's news brought to you from the pages of tformers.com and TFW 2005. News read by Matthew Ignash. Stop by wikialpha.org to read more about third-party Transformers. Check out the Facebook page of the third-party TF Crashers. And then come on by the Retro Robot Radio YouTube channel and subscribe.